welcome to another episode of Streets and Scholars. I'm Alex Alonso, and I'm here with Frank Thornton, aka FG. Man, what's going on?
Oh man, what's going on with y'all? Is everything good on this end?
Oh, that's cool, man. It's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles.
No doubt.
And we're going to talk about a few things today. Let me just check this right here. Okay, so, remember that Sacramento shooting that we talked about a few weeks ago?
Right.
It had to be at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. I made a judgment just based on photos of victims. And not just the photos of the victims, but the way that the media was describing each person. Oh, they work here.
Right.
Father. They really cleaned up the victims, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
They passed.
But they kind of led you to believe that they were just victims.
Yeah, innocent victims.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out three of the victims, what was it, six deaths?
Yeah, 5, 6 deaths.
It was 6 deaths. So it turns out at least 2, maybe 3 of them were actually part of the 2 groups that was going at it with each other.
Oh, okay.
And it turns out it was a blood set and a Crip set.
I saw that. So it was a little more than what we thought, you know what I mean? So somebody did get their man, actually. You know what I mean? Not that that's what we're promoting, but I'm just saying in the midst of the war.
They got 3 of their men, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be laughing at that, but it's hard. It's hard not to, though.
Well, the thing about it is more or less like it wasn't some innocent bystanders.
Man, I'm laughing at the media. They sit there and say, oh, this person worked for FedEx for 20 years. He was a father of 3. He went to work every day, but then he was out there doing his thing.
Right. Out there gunning shit down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, my bad on that. I fell for the okie doke, but the media been doing us like that for years.
Well, my whole thing about it is just like I say, I don't promote gang violence, but if it do, keep it amongst the gangs. You know what I mean? When innocent people start getting hit, that's when it's... So I thought like a bunch of innocent bystanders got hit. And come to find out, like you say, like you discovered a few of them were actually members of the gang.
And we don't know how many of the 12 victims that survived it were innocent bystanders.
Right.
But I do know for sure that there were, of the three other ones, I found an article that talked about one of them for sure, and had nothing to do with any of it, got caught in the crossfire, and it is what it is, man.
Yeah, but that's sad right there. People living a regular day, going about a regular day, woke up, with the intentions of making it back home, and they didn't. So that's always on that end. Sad to see,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my bad on that. I assume they all were innocent victims, but they weren't. But also our man Cain Velasquez, for those who don't know, Cain Velasquez is the former UFC champion fighter that is currently in custody for shooting, for attempted murder on a chomo. But in the process of trying to shoot the chomo, he shot the guy's stepfather, who I think was 62 years old. Mm-hmm. And then they arrested Cain Velasquez for attempted murder. He was in court last week on May 6th. Yes, he was in court last week, and his new bail hearing will be May 16th. So on May 6th, we spoke about it. The lawyer said they were going to go in there, they were going to demand for his release, and set a trial date. But apparently he's still in custody.
No doubt, but he does have a hearing. So come May 16th, he will get the set of bail, talk about bail. From what I'm understanding, that the district attorney does not want to let him out, but his attorney should go in there and have a good argument about, why he should at least be released on bond.
Man, the judge doesn't even want to let him out.
Man, but that's at the same time, you have a right, though, to bail. Now, a judge can deny it, of course, but at the same time, I've seen people with murders released on bond. So, this guy having attempted murder, which the guy he shot, it was a non-life-threatening injury, but it was a body shot, so that's why they gave him that attempt.
Well, here's what the judge had to say about Cain Velasquez. It says here, Judge Judge Shelna Brown said that Cain Velasquez was clear and convincing evidence that there is substantial likelihood that release of Cain Velasquez would result in great bodily injury, not just to the named complaining witnesses in this case, but to the Santa Clara residents at large.
You know what? I read that exact same thing, and as soon as I read it, I said, "That's some bullshit."
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Come on, the guy was shooting at his target. You know, he wasn't shooting at the public. He wasn't shooting at the, So I don't buy that one at all. I think they trying to ramp it up for denial, but at the end of the day, this guy deserves a bail.
Yeah, man. When I read that, I'm saying to myself, are they setting Cain Velasquez up for a bail denial?
Right.
On May 16th, because and that's just a few days from now. So we'll get back to y'all next week on an update on Cain Velasquez. But he's got a very high-powered attorney, Mr. Garagos, and he usually is very successful in the courtroom. So. But hey, at the end of the day, it don't matter. The judge can say,
the judge can make that decision, man.
okay. And it just made me think about this other case, completely different circumstances. But there's a well-known Mexican Mafia dropout named Rene Boxer Enriquez. Chris Blatchford from Fox 11 News wrote a book about him. He was one of the top dudes, when he was doing this thing in the 80s and 90s. Then in 2002, he dropped out, and he ended up becoming an informant for the government. And he's a convicted 2-time murderer, but he's up for parole, and he's been up for parole.
Right.
But the governor always denies his release. Now, I don't know if a lot of people understand this. The CDC can grant your parole.
Right.
And say, we deem that you're ready to go.
Right.
But the governor has 120 days to approve it.
Right.
So just because the CDC says you can go home doesn't mean that you're going home. But usually the governor signs off on it.
Right.
But the governor hasn't been signing off on this Mexican Mafia dude named Boxer, and he's about to be he's been already paroled in January. So the state of California, or the Governor Newsom, has till the end of May. My question is, and this is just a question for everybody to ponder: should a 2-time convicted murderer who ran one of the most powerful prison gangs be released?
How long did he do?
He's been in there since 1990. So It's been like, let's say 30 years.
He did 30 years.
Yeah, he's been in there 30 years. And he killed a female named Cynthia Galvadon, and her family always sends letters to the governor, do not let this man out. But, that's what families do most.
No doubt.
And so he killed a female, he killed a dude on some prison politics stuff on the streets. So 30 years later, what do you say, F?
30 years later, I say that if he took a life, my whole stand on it is if you get caught, then you should do life, But I also heard you say he was an informant. So that probably was part of the reason that he's getting the love that he's getting as far as the recommendations from the CDC, his cooperation. So whether I agree with it or not, when I already know that when the state of California, when the government want somebody locked up and somebody assist them in that, they'll let a dude out no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, that's the purpose for assisting the government.
No doubt.
There's a trade-off here.
It's a trade-off.
You want me to testify? This guy Boxer, by the way, I know I've witnessed him testify in about 6 trials.
Damn.
I believe he's testified in 8 or 9. There might have been a few that I missed.
Super duper.
And get this, one time he testified in a case against my client.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'll let people know a little bit. I end up meeting him over the phone because I interviewed Chris Blatchford, who wrote the book about him.
Oh, okay.
So I did this cool little video with Chris Blatchford at a book signing, and Chris Blatchford hits me up one day and says, "Hey, Boxer just called me from prison. He said he likes the video you did." I said, "Oh, okay. Give him my number. Tell him to holler."
Right.
So he hit me up one day, and we just talking on the phone about Mexican Mafia history, because a lot of people know that I understand Crip and Blood history.
Right.
But I also study this Mexican gang history too.
Yeah.
So we talking about Mexican Mafia history, but then I realized he's heavily involved in assisting the prosecution in these trials. And then one day we're actually pitted against each other.
Yeah.
And ever since that case, I ain't never heard from him again.
Right.
So, but if he doesn't get released, it is a cold example of this dude did all this informing,
Man, and didn't get the reward.
got denied. It'll be his 6th denial if he gets denied this later this month. Governor Jerry Brown denied him 3 times. Newsom already denied him twice. So this is the 3rd time it's been on Governor Newsom's desk.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm saying, hey, at some point you got to let the guy out.
Well, I mean, you don't, but you do. I mean, you know, if he stuck up to his deal, I mean, you say he been on the witness stand. He told on a whole bunch of people. So, I mean, you know, you already know I don't condone that, but at the same time, that's why a lot of people do it. So for you to mess up your name, for you to mess up, you know, get yourself in a situation where people want to kill you, I mean, he didn't even get his reward. You know, like I say, he didn't even get the benefits of testifying if they not going to let him out.
Well, one thing that he has been able to get that most prisoners that are serving, you know, the sentences that he's serving is that I learned this from some of the cases that that he's been on. He gets to order any food he wants. He gets to have steak, shrimp, lobster.
Yeah.
So he has some privileges.
He did some perks for his testimony.
So
and
he may not have been released out of custody, but he does definitely have a lot of perks. And when you're sitting in there all these years, tell us how valuable it is when you get to eat what you want to eat.
Man, I'm talking about it's so valuable, man. I know one time it was a holiday and they had big old bags of shrimps, but they really was for the staff, and they put them in the freezer where
that's messed up. The shrimp was only for the staff.
Yeah, it was for the staff.
But you could see the shrimp.
Man, the homie stole bags of that shrimp out the thing, man. And sold it to us, man. We ate big, you know, and it was amazing. Like, you know what I mean? How these dudes whipped up the butter and whipped up the garlic and made this. I mean, it felt, you know.
I'm picturing that actually.
Right. So I can actually get a small taste of what the perks that he have. You know, the problem is that, you know, he did all this to be free, though. You know what I mean? Nothing beats the freedom. I mean, if you can have all kind of food and all kind of, you know, steak and lobster, but ain't nothing beats that freedom.
Well, check this out. One time he was testifying in the case, and I helped the lawyers cross-examine, you know, these guys. So we had these questions for Boxer, and one of the questions was, ask him if he's doing this because he wants to be free one day. You know, we want him to answer that question in front of a jury.
Right.
And I mean, Boxer is a smart, cold brother, and he actually said, "No, I ain't doing this to be free because I don't think I'll ever be free. I'm in here for 2 murders. I'm in here for I'm doing." And then he flipped it. You know, I'm doing my duty. I did a lot of dirt in my life. You know, I've killed a lot of people in my life. I feel like I owe society this debt. And I was like, oh, this dude came. He came with the cold answer.
Well, let me ask you this. How old was he when he caught these murders?
Oh, let's see here. He caught the Sylvia Galvadon murder happened in like 89, 90 when he got arrested. He got arrested immediately. So right now he's about 50, almost 60. Let's look it up real quick. Tell us briefly why is the age important to you? Yeah,
the age is important to me because at a certain time in your life when you know 16, 20, 18, 21 and you do things, your brain haven't even fully all the way developed. You know what I mean? So the decisions that you make at this age, and you get all these years, I do believe that, I mean, he did 30. If he was anywhere under 25 years old when these took place, I do have some kind of compassion on the brain not fully being developed, and I do believe a guy can grow to have full remorse and really change his mindset on what he did.
Okay, so he's 59 years old right now. I believe these murders happened in 1990. There's a chance it happened in 89, but let's just say 1990. That's 32 years ago. So 59 minus 32 is 27 years old.
Okay, he was kind of grown on. Yeah, he was fully aware of exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I do have a compassion for these kids when they catch these cases at 18, 19 years old, and they give them a double life sentence when, man, this kid really can change. I mean, it may take 10 years, 15 years, but this guy's mind really can change to grasp that, damn, what was I thinking at that age? And, so I always try to ask what the age factor was.
And another thing about Rene, a lot of people say, well, why did he drop out? Why did he defect? And the reason why was because, even though all these Mexican Mafia dudes are supposed to be part of one organization, they politic against each other all the time. And they have little crews, little factions. and certain factions are more powerful than other factions. And Rene was part of a faction that was getting weaker and weaker and weaker, where he ended up being like the last dude left.
Right.
And he knew that another faction was going to make a move on him, and he decided to bow out at that time, rather than to take his stabbings like some of these other dudes do. Like, for example, Sal Buenrostro. That's a dude that Boxer stabbed like 25 times. He survived it, but Sal could have bowed out. Sal knew it was coming, and he took it like a man.
Yeah.
But Boxer decided to knock on that door.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to check out right now.
Check out.
How do you feel about dudes like that? That they sign up to the highest level of gang banging,
Right.
And when it starts to when the kitchen start getting hotter, they decide to dip out.
Well, you know, it's funny because I had a personal situation like that. I had a cold young rider from my neighborhood, man, you know, and when I left to go, he was almost a kid when I left, but as I was gone, he came up through the ranks, man, and he was really a solid soldier, and I liked him. I knew his family, you know, and things like that. So he had went to prison. He got 20 years, and so after so long, I came home, and I was, you know, he was calling me and we chopping it up. So one day he called me and he said, "Big homie, I think I'm a drop out." You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, well, you know, what you mean? You know, he was like, you know, they got a program that you could drop out, you know, and I may get a little less time and I may come home a little sooner, and you know, and so I'm like, well, what you got to do? He like, oh, you just gotta don't bang no more. You know what I mean? So I called the homies, you know what I mean, couple dudes and shit. I said, man, what do dropout mean? They said, oh, no, when you drop out, you got to debrief, tell them everything you know about the gang, you know, and all this, things you got to do, you know. So when he called me back, I couldn't even press the thing no more. And I haven't talked to him since, you know what I mean? One thing about it is I know his family, you know, I know his mom, you know. He made that decision, but once you made that decision, you're not a part of the friendship anymore. You know what I mean? And that's just really how I feel about it. You're not even he was like a cousin to him. Dude, you're not even a family member anymore, you know? So you took that gangster shit out on the street. Nobody told you to go out there or forced you to go out there and do the crimes that you was committing. You was already from the hood. You already had the love and respect. You took the extra precautions to go get the 20 years. And when you got it, you didn't stand on it. You know what I mean? So I can't respect you. And then dropping out, you know, even if you would have cried about it, I could respect that. But dropping out and debriefing for these people and whatever else you have to do to become a dropout, I can't roll with it.
Yeah. What year did that happen?
This was I came home in 2013. This had to be like 2000, maybe 15, 16.
And this happened in the state?
This happened in the state. And like I say, this dude was really dear to my heart, you know, but at the same time, I haven't talked to him since. And, you know, I basically, you know, disowned him, you know, and I know that time is hard, you know, but at the same time, Alex, I'll live my life today that I don't want to do 20 years. So I don't do shit to get me 20 years, you know. Now, we all know that anything can happen. You can walk outside and get into a fight and the man die. I mean, you know, shit can happen. But at the same time, I live my life because I don't want to go do a life sentence right now. I don't want to get 20 years. So I can take my ass to work and do what I need to do. But if I get out there and go get to 20, I'm going to do it because, you know, hey, you know what I mean? That's just where I feel at, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think that dropping out is different for everyone. I'm not 100% convinced that all dropouts have to debrief. Mm-hmm. It depends on how deep in the politics of prison he was. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If of course, if you part of the BGF, Mexican Mafia, NF, you probably debriefing. But if you just part of your hood and you just like, hey, I need to get off this yard. Like, for example, Suge Knight. Right. Suge Knight walked on the yard in Donovan. He didn't like the way the atmosphere felt. And he told everyone, I'm leave. I don't want to be on this yard. Right. There's nothing to debrief. You know, there's nothing for him to provide for him to say, hey, my safety is compromised on this yard. Right. Send me into another yard. So someone like Suge doesn't have to do all of that we were talking about.
No, I believe you right on the spot. And the little homie didn't tell me he had a debrief. The other homies just told me when you drop out, this is what goes on. You know, I took it for what the homies were saying. You know, why is you dropping out if you not? What are you agreeing to even you know behave? You a Paru, homie. You gonna have to push this line no matter if you say you not want people to know that's what you were or you're gonna be that. You know what I mean? All that I don't bang no more, in prison. You could do that on the street, but in prison, no, come on, homie, you are who you are. So, and not to mention, they didn't have it where you could walk on the yard and just say my safety is not my safety is in jeopardy. You know what I mean? When you used to come to Victorville and dude get on the yard talking about my safety in jeopardy, well we got to see something, a black eye or something. We can't just you got to something got busted lip or something. You got to, you know what I mean? But now they have it to where dudes get the comfort to say I'm not safe here, and I know why the state do it. They because if something do really happens, it's on their hands. But at the same time, man, you had that luxury back then, man. Walk your yard, man. You a gangster, go walk that walk, man. That's why how's people want to gang bang and people want to be gangsters, and then when they get in a situation, they want to knock on the door, hey, this not fit for me. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not talking about older gentlemen, dudes that's getting up there 50, 60 years old, and they on the yard with dudes 25 lifting 400 pounds. I get it, but these young dudes that just decide that they not tough enough or this ain't the life they really thought they wanted to live, they shouldn't even be able to get a way out. You know what I mean? Maybe people will stop doing dumb shit to, you know what I mean, go to prison. They'll be calling home saying, hey, bro, keep your nose clean. This shit is real, So that's just my little opinion on it.
Well, right now, the CDC, I believe more than 50% of the yards are protective custody yards.
That's crazy.
It is crazy because I just did an interview with a dude who used to be a correctional officer. And he said in 1987, there was only one PC yard. I think he said it was in San Luis Obispo, CMC. In San Luis Obispo. Mm-hmm. That was the only one in 1980, 87, 88. Now every prison has
at least had one.
At least one yard. Even Pelican Bay has a yard. That's PC yard.
That's crazy, man.
So that just shows you that there's been a shift in. But what's crazy? Some of these PC yards, man, it's rocking and rolling on those now.
No doubt. I'm not taking it as you weak. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you don't get the full. You shouldn't get credit for being a gangster. Let me state that. But at the same time, if you a stand-up dude on the street, homie, you a gangster out here on these streets, you supposed to go to the pen and be a gangster as well. And whatever yard they put you on, unless like back in the day where they had actual Crip yards, you couldn't walk to Hatchby 2 yard back in the day. Just couldn't do it. Only a few homies I know ever did it, And you already knew when you leave to Hatchby 3, you go to 2, you're coming back the next day, knotted and bumped up, busted lips, but dudes was getting off the bus. Dudes wasn't saying, I ain't going on that yard, even though they knew they was finna get their ass whooped soon as they got off the bus. You know what I mean? So that's how man was built back in the day. Like you say, now dudes got the options to say, I don't feel safe, and they shoot them somewhere else. Then you go in this other yard and be a bully. You know what I mean? And I got a homeboy that's a bully on the PC yard. Cold gangster, robbing people, smacking them up, all this shit, but you on the PC yard, you know what I mean? And I don't be feeling that, but this is what it is today.
Yeah, so basically that's what Rene Boxer Enriquez did. He decided that he wanted to check out. It got a little too tough for him, and he knew he was going to get stabbed up, even though this dude gave out so many stabbings, and the CDC let him, bow out, even though, hey, we know you did.
We know you did all this other dirt.
Yeah, and they let him debrief. And actually, his you can go online and watch a video of actually him debriefing. Mm-hmm. Like he's giving up everything: the history of the Mexican Mafia, the players, all of the codes, all of the communication, how they do hits, what green lights are, what candy green lights are, candy hard list. He's giving it all up.
Well, they probably just factor him as a dude who's just really a threat to, we always get the term a threat to society. And sometimes dudes is not going to do nothing to society. They either going to get their man or they not. Society is safe with these dudes on the street. With this dude like Boxer may actually really be a threat to society. You know what I mean? And
right now?
Right now.
Why do you say that?
Just based on the influence that he has, the experience that he has to manipulate dudes, and the heart that he had to go hard. Like you say, just because you a rat don't mean you a punk. You know what I mean? Even though he's 59 years old at this moment, that don't mean that it's not young dudes who will want to be in his shadow or learn what he know, if anything else. Okay, Teach me what you know. Teach me, give me some insight on how to stab a dude, on how to do a murder, how to do this. And that's what I mean by a threat to society. By teaching the youth some intel or giving them some extra power mentally to go put some work in, that's a threat to society.
Yeah, but there's no Mexican neighborhood that would even accept this dude. You know, unfortunately, the Mexicans are a little bit more structured.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
He won't be able to come to the park.
No, you're right. I got
like our homies do.
Right? No, you're 100% right on that, though. I got to agree with you on that.
Plus, I don't think he's a threat anymore. One, he's his age, and two, it would be highly risky for him to even try to get back in the mix again. I just don't see it happening. I actually asked this question to some of my students when I was teaching. Should a double murderer be deserved their freedom at some point? And I argue that if you're going to do all this snitching like he did, you have to give him his freedom, because that helps you get the next informant, and it helps you get the next informant.
Yeah,
and,
that's the angle to take.
So some informants are looking at Rene right now saying, damn, this guy been denied.
He didn't even get his due. Yeah.
He got 6 denials. Well, he got 5 denials. We're waiting on the 6th one right now. And he's doing all this time. He did all this telling, all this testifying. He even published books with the police. They got a couple of books out on the Mexican Mafia, and they were published by police publishing companies.
Well, shit, is he gonna last if they let him out? I mean,
that's the thing. I mean, I think you can. I mean, LA is so big, right? You can go, and we have all these cities in the Inland Empire, up in the high desert. There's so many places to live.
Man, it's big, Alex, but it's small. Man.
Yeah, it's big and it's small. He's got a recognizable face too. So he definitely has to be careful. Yeah. I think that he would probably move out of LA County, but it's I don't think that he'll ever get caught. I mean, look at Sammy the Bull Gravano. This dude was running the Gambino crime family. These are people that will travel all over the earth to track you down. Hey, the dude's on YouTube every day.
Yeah, right.
I think they just came to the point was like, let him go. Leave him alone. We're not trying to end up in the feds over this dude who snitched on a guy 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, plus the mafia not what they were either, back in the 70s and stuff like that. They really were a force, so guys can't get away with them now. But
no, I don't think they would. If there was an opportunity, I think they would take it. Because look what happened to Rusty Bulger in the cell. Yeah, the guy was like 70-something years old.
Whitey, man.
Whitey Bulger. Yeah. I said Rusty. Whitey Bulger. They still got him. It took many years. But Boxer will definitely need to be careful where he goes, who he hangs with. A couple of these dropouts from the Mexican Mafia who are walking around right now, they went and got what's it called? Reconstructive surgery.
Oh, okay.
Facelifts. And things like that. It doesn't even really make you look different though. But
and they gonna get Boxer as they let him out, man. He need to go to another state or something, because I think he's high up on the target list.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try.
Probably told on some high powered dudes too, man.
He did. He told on He told on one of the Grejadas. The Grejadas, there were 3 brothers. They were all Mexican Mafia. He testified against Sanan Grajeda, and that was my client about 5-6 years ago. And I was sitting there like saying, wow, this guy, he was saying things that I didn't even believe were true, He testified against a whole bunch of guys. He even testified against dudes that weren't Mexican Mafia. They were just like some Southsiders that the prosecution said these were hits done for the mafia.
Right.
And he coming in there saying, this was definitely a Mexican Mafia. Well, how do you know? You ain't been around.
Right.
Well, I could just tell by the way it was done and how he did it. He would have never done this without approval. I was just like, wow, but he want to get out.
Right. Hell yeah, he do.
So we'll find out by the end of May if Rene, Boxer, Enriquez from Artesia gets released. We'll find out if Governor Newsom signs off.
You say he from Artesia?
Yeah, that's his hood. Artesia 13.
Yeah.
I know some of them. I went to school with some of them dudes.
Is that right?
You said his name Boxer?
Boxer, yeah.
Rene
Boxer Enriquez.
Man, I'm going to have to go look at a picture. Well, he a lot older than me, though. But Yeah, I knew them dudes. They had the Chivas and they had the Teacher 13s out there. Used to go on there to it all the time.
Yeah, the Arda. They sometimes they just call it Arda.
You're right. Because I went to school in Cerritos.
Yeah.
So I used to bump into. They used to go to school with me, and I used to, man, what's our Teacher 13? Man, that's the hood. You know what I mean? They was putting me up on game. But okay,
And there's been a handful of Artesia dudes in the Mexican Mafia. I think Rene is like the third or fourth dude from there that got in. And then when he was in, he was running Hawaiian Gardens. Mm-hmm. Even though he's from Artesia, his whole territory, because all these dudes have territories that they control. No. He was controlling Hawaiian Gardens.
I remember you couldn't go in the Hawaiian Garden. Now you walk through there freely. But yeah, I remember you couldn't even go in. I mean, Artesia, that's how they. Yeah, I remember them dudes.
So yeah, we'll find out at the end of the month if he gets out. I wanted to talk to you about this CO and this guy that escaped from an Alabama prison. Casey White, 38 years old. About a week and a half ago, they said this guy escaped from prison, and that he might have taken the CO as kidnapped the CO, a female named Vicky White. The prisoner and the CO have the same last name, but there's no relation. But it turns out that perhaps Vicky White, the CO, actually helped Casey White escape.
Right.
Have you ever heard of anything crazy like this? And this is a woman that's been working as a CO, not just for like a couple of months.
Right. No, she was finna retire.
For years.
She was finna retire. Hey, look, she was up for retirement April 29th. The paperwork hadn't been finalized, but she was up for retirement. She was finna go. And I'm sure that pension she was gonna get is out the window. But I'm wondering, how did she get access to help him get out like that? And I don't believe it's no kidnap. I believe she assisted him and they ran off together. I really believe that.
Well, there was an article last week that said that the Marshal Services are now claiming they believe that she assisted him. So I want to know, what's the relationship that some of these COs actually have with the prisoners?
Well, you have to realize that it's a lot of women working in prisons now. It's a job for them. It's a career for them. Some of them who otherwise tried other things in life and say, you know what, this is a solid future. So they go in and they get these jobs, but at the same time, they're still women. They're still emotional beings, depending on what their background is. You know what I mean? You don't know what their emotions is going through. But I've seen on numerous occasions, at least 5 times, where an inmate was messing with a CO. You know what I mean? They bringing in weed, they bringing in tobacco, they bringing in a whole lot of things. One CO got walked up off the yard. She was pregnant by an inmate. You know what I mean? He got out and they went to be together. You know what I mean? And I knew this through another CO that just like, man, I can't, talking to another CO, and he was telling the other dude, I can't believe, Vicky ran off with the dude, and you know what I mean? And this shit really happens, Alex, all across the country.
No doubt about it. This guy, Casey White, for those who don't know, is a white supremacist. He's like 6'9", 300 pounds, got all kind of white supremacist tattoos. So if she's involved with this guy, she picked like one of the worst type of dudes to even get active with.
Well, it all depends, because he might be, mentally feeding her what she's been looking for, because she's older. She's 50-something, I believe.
She's 56 years old, and he's 38.
Right, so he over there doing 1,000 push-ups a day, jumping up and down on that thing, man, and you know what I mean? And she just going to be disappointed, though, if he ever strike out on her and going about his life and leave her to fend for herself with the charges that she going to be looking up against, man. Now, that's the thing that happens often, you know what I mean? So how many female COs have you interacted with in all the times you've been locked up? A lot. You know what I mean? And I had I'm not gonna use the term relationship, but I've had situations where other staff from the prison told me, stay out her office. Dude, she's an authority. She's if she called me to her office, and I don't obey, you going to the hole. You know what I mean? But at the same time, certain dudes, it's still man and woman. Certain women, they can see how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, how you, handle your things in life, and then what they also do is when you talking on the phone, they could see you on the phone, go punch a button on the thing and listen to that phone call. They had that kind of technology now. So I could always hear them when they click into the phone call. You can hear it, you know what I mean? And they seeing what you're talking about. They hear you macking or they hear you saying certain things. And I don't care what position of power man or woman is, you know what I mean? Feelings can grow. You know what I mean? And that's just all around the world. Now, I wasn't those dudes when a female CO walked by. I don't care how fat her ass is or how good she looked. I didn't give her the opportunity to catch me just looking like that. You know what I mean? But that was me on the street. You know what I mean? Some of these dudes is really, hey, Miss Johnson, hey, how you doing today? You know, they really putting the pressure on them. And if she lonely, some of her husband left and all kind of shit. Some of these women move out of state to take these jobs. They feed into that shit, you know what I mean? And that's the thing about it. If I wasn't married and my wife wasn't coming damn near every other week or whatever to see me, who's to say I wouldn't have tried to holler at one? You know what I mean?
Do you think a female CO is a little bit more sympathetic to the prison population, or can they just be just as hard as the guys?
No, I done seen something just as hard. I seen a lieutenant, man, and she was about her bull. She wasn't bullshit. You know what I mean? I knew her when she was a regular CO. You know, she wasn't bullshitting then. You know what I mean? And now some of them carried and conduct themselves, and not to even think about. You know, it was just like a female on the street. You know, some of these the COs, you could look at them and say they're a little weak, and you'll say something to them, and they don't get mad that first time. The next time you're gonna say something a little, different. You know, I've been caught drinking by COs or female COs and shit, and they walked it off like they didn't see it. You know what I mean? You open my cell door, I got 3 gallons in the sink. You know what I mean? And they let me make it. You know what I mean? So what you do probably would have booked me. I'd have been in the hole or whatever. You know, so it's not just the female COs. It's also when the guys work at the female prison. These dudes knocking these bras down.
Yeah.
But the bras is like, we in jail. We need some. You know what I mean? We with it. And dudes don't stick to the code of what their job structure is supposed to be. You know, all the women out here on the street, you know what I mean? But you want to be having, sexual intercourse with these inmates. So it happens both ways, actually.
So that asks the question then, should females not work in male facilities and vice versa? Definitely male COs shouldn't be working in female facilities.
No doubt, but they do. Because of sometimes these females is rough. Some of these females are, a regular CO. Some of these prison females will beat their ass. So sometimes you gotta have men in female facilities, and but at the same time, and like you're a teacher, like you a professor, like you anything else, you're not supposed to take advantage of these situations, But in real life, this shit happen every day, Alex.
Is it sexist to say that females should not be employed as COs in male prisons because not only are these men, but these are some of the toughest men. These are some of the strongest men. These are some of the most gangster men. Mm-hmm. And to have females in there trying to control them, is it sexist to say they shouldn't even be doing this job?
Well, at a certain point, I could say yeah. At a certain point, I could say no. Because in a state prison, when you're on a 3 and 4 yard, you got that gun tower pointing down on you. So they got some backup. And the feds on a 3 and 4 yard per se, a medium, a USP, they don't have gun towers. So when you get to stabbing a dude, ain't no for shooting. You're not finna get shot at. It's gonna take forever for them to. You stabbed up by the time they round up their men and get in there to break it up. So. By me saying that, a lot of females and men had to come in and really understand you don't run this unit. Yeah, when you say lock it down, we lock it down because we're supposed to and we don't want to go to the hole. We running our program, we getting our visits, but you don't run this unit technically. You know what I mean? This motherfucker flip anytime. So I don't want to say it's sexist because people usually do what you ask them to do. You're not really making nobody do nothing in prison. You know what I mean? You ask them and then they do it. You know what I mean? So, but I believe in equal employment opportunities, though, just to be honest with you. I don't believe females should be over there at the USP, you know what I mean, or the level 4s and 3s. I think they should stay down at the lows and the 2 yards and 1 yards. I do believe that because when you, like you say, when you get up there, I have seen women get knocked the fuck out.
Damn.
You know what I mean? For running your mouth, and this dude got life sentence. What are you going to do with him? You know what I mean? Nothing. Take him to the hole, send him to another facility. Nothing gonna happen to this man. He got life sentence. So.
Well, the Alabama governor has issued a $10,000 reward leading to the arrest and apprehension of Casey White, who was basically serving like a crazy sentence, basically life sentence.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, but he was serving like 80-something years.
Yeah, no, I didn't know it was that much time. I thought he was like I didn't know it was that much time.
Yeah, he was pretty much washed up and doing all day. And so now that there's a manhunt, that's a funny term, manhunt. They're looking for a man and a woman. It's a woman hunt.
Right.
It's a woman hunt. But I just wonder how often female COs, fall, emotionally, under the manipulation and spell of a cold-blooded male inmate.
You know what, man? I don't think it's always manipulation. Sometimes, man, it's just flat out when they see you, man, they never had a guy like you. They never had a general. They never had somebody who they see and know and get debriefed on. This dude right here, he's one to watch. They know who the shot callers is. They know who the bosses is. They know who, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, they watch you move. They watch how you conduct yourself. They watch when you're not even looking, and in their mind, it turns them on. Just like dudes be in their cell dreaming about this CO lady, see CO ladies at home dreaming about some of these dudes in these cells. Some of them may never act on it, but a whole lot of them is thinking about it because these dudes are in shape. They reading books. Their minds are sharp at the moment. They not on drugs. They healthy. And then like you say, sometimes the little manipulation that do come with it, it's easy, man. It really happens more often than you think.
Well, hopefully by the time most of the listeners, the Streets and Scholars, hear this, these people should be in custody.
But see, that the one thing about running is what dudes on the street don't realize, man. You gotta have some money. You know what I mean? And if you got some money, you can go lay low, and don't get caught. But if you broke, man, you can't be on no run, man. But she been working a long time. She may have had some pennies saved up. They say they believe she had some cash on her. They might have checked her bank accounts and realized that, but at the same time, it's still going to come a time where you have to get out and produce some money in order to pay your way, Well, and that's how usually people get caught.
Maybe she had a stash, but they found a vehicle that they were both in abandoned. And, she has access to places and stash houses and cash, I'm sure. So, but there's no way you're going to outdo the U.S. Marshals. The U.S. Marshals usually find their guy.
No doubt. There's some bad boys. And I agree with you over there, And
they will find you if you leave the country.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So, but depending on how much, what it comes down to also, though, is how much resources they want to put into the manhunt. If they gave him 80 years on trumped up drug charges, this dude is not a bigger priority than somebody who escaped that got a double murder. You know what I mean? Sometimes they really go in there and they sit down and be like, listen, dude, we gave this dude way too much time anyway. We're not finna spend $1 million on a manhunt to find him. What we're gonna do, and we're gonna sit back. He gonna get caught himself. He's gonna do something where he gonna come out and he gonna do something as far as, swipe a card or, just do somebody's gonna recognize him and we gonna nab him.
Well, the Alabama jail authorities are confirming that the two had a quote-unquote jailhouse romance. So I think at this point in the stage, there's no denying that this CO was involved with this prisoner.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, when I first saw this story about a week and a half ago, I really believed, I was like, oh, this dude took a CO as a hostage to get up out of there. And then I'm thinking, then they showed a picture of the CO, and I'm like, oh, she's a decent looking mid-age white woman. And then I'm thinking, I wonder if he was messing with her.
Hostage didn't even come to my mind. You know what I mean? First thing I thought was, hey man, that's a setup. He didn't talk her into that. She went with it. Like I say, she probably never been doted on or loved on before in that fashion. You know what I mean? got into her emotions.
It's crazy that she would risk her career and her freedom also, not just her career, but her freedom. She's going to prison.
People do it every day, Alex.
Yeah, but you don't expect a woman who's been a CO for 15 years, who's never been to jail, ain't never committed a crime, to now all of a sudden I'm throwing it all away for this crazy inmate white supremacist who's doing all day.
Hey man, hey, let me tell you something about sex, and you should know. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've heard people do crazier things, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've heard some crazy stories, man. But unfortunately, this woman right here, I don't know if this woman is married. I don't know if she's got kids or family, but she
put it on the line. She put everything on the line for this one, man.
She fucked hers off.
Yeah, she put it on the line. So that's why I say that thing must have been so good to her. She was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So she'd have put it all on the line.
And all kind of agencies are also throwing in rewards. I said earlier, Alabama governor threw in 10. Another organization threw in 5, another threw in 10.
And that's what's going to catch them.
Yeah, so the total right now, I don't know if it's 25, 35,000. This reward might go up to 50,000, and somebody's going to do a tip.
Going to tell on the 5. Shit.
No, just on the 5.
Yes, yeah.
All right, well, I wanted to talk to you about this Megan Thee Stallion situation, but homeboy hasn't. We still have a lot of time to talk about this because the trial is still. They're not even thinking about trial yet.
Right.
So maybe we'll talk about the Megan Thee Stallion thing, but just briefly, she did an interview with Gayle King on CBS, which I just found highly unusual.
Me too.
Because this is an open case, and you're the star witness of the case.
Right.
And you're doing interviews.
Right, but when you talk about Gayle, when you talk about the influence that Gayle has, when you talk about, I believe it's something more than just that interview. I believe she sit down with Gayle for a purpose, and I believe they know the purpose and we don't. She didn't just get out and do no random interview with Gayle King, man.
I think the purpose was because initially she was looking like a liar because she told the police that she stepped on glass.
Well, she was a liar.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly.
She admitted that
she admitted that she lied. That's why I say she was a liar, if that's the case.
I'm thinking the reason why she went to Gayle King is because she wants to clear her name as I'm not a liar. I lied because I thought I was protecting everybody because I didn't want the police to come in here with guns blazing. So I said I stepped on glass rather than say, hey, I got shot and there's a gun in the car.
Right, but at the same time, she lied, and the only reason I believe she on Gayle is I don't think she give a damn about the public. She give a damn about that perjury. You know what I mean? You gave false statements to the police, and that's a crime, and she wants to get out of that. So what she's going to do, she's going to tell on Gayle King, and I'm going to just say this, I'm going to just throw this out there. I believe a piece of that Gayle King interview is going to be part of the evidence when it goes to trial.
No doubt about that. So we'll take a deeper dive on this case with Megan Thee Stallion. Allegedly, she's claiming that Tory Lanez allegedly shot her, and we'll go a little bit deeper on that. But we're going to wrap up this another fire episode of Streets and Scholars. I want to thank everybody for tapping in. Hit that Apple podcast if you want to ask us some questions, or leave some comments or reviews, and follow us on all the other platforms if you're on iHeart, Spotify, or Google. And hit up FG. FG got them FG Unleashed shirts. His Instagram is FGeneral1. And how do they find you on YouTube?
You can go to FG Unleashed on YouTube. Check out my videos. Hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Check out the videos. Hit the like button if you like them, and tune in with me.
And your latest thing you dropped. We talked about the Omar Bradley thing that you dropped, but you also got the Rosecrans. What is it called? Rosecrans Movement.
It's Rosecrans Music Group, but I did a latest video on just recently about how stop letting your homeboys get your life sentence. It's a really deep. It's deep, and I would really want them to tap in and listen to that if they get a chance. It's my latest video. It's some real shit, Alex, that I want to put out there.
All right, we'll definitely tap in there, and find me at Alex Alonso 101 on all social media platforms. And that wraps up another episode of Streets and Scholars.